This is the largest tech investment in Alberta history, $4.3 billion.
Track to break a yearly record for home sales.
This is a game changer for the tech sector. For anybody who thought all of the great news in the Alberta tech and innovation sector was just a temporary flash in the pan, this is for real. This is big. This is game changing for our economy.
Wow. Awesome news that just dropped this week. Breaking news, Amazon making a $4 billion investment, Amazon Web Services, into the city of Calgary with a new facility, creating up to 900 jobs. This is a massive moment, potentially a tipping point for other tech companies to follow suit, realizing that Calgary is an amazing place to invest, great quality of life, amazing young and educated workforce. And they're really doing a good job now shifting their economy away, diversifying away from just oil and gas economy to a tech economy that has been booming. And there's been a number of announcements in the past year or so of other major tech investments into Calgary and into Alberta. But this by far is the largest. So very exciting to see that announcement as a real estate investor in the city of Calgary. Thanks for joining me on this video. The other big piece of news that just was announced this week as well. As I'm shooting this video, all this stuff is coming out in the news. And we're going to get to the headline of this video talking about Minto's new project, East Hills Crossing Townhomes. But before we get to that, I wanted to share also this amazing news with you. Calgary Real Estate Board just announced that October 2021 was the best month ever for sales in Calgary's history. Look at that there. October 2021, the best October that Calgary has ever seen in its history for sales in real estate. So the market, again, the story we've been saying over and over in Calgary, if you've been following along, is the market has been hurting bad for a number of years, but that has all changed in 2021. The market is picking up, and the time to invest in Calgary is now. So we're going to talk, as I said, on this video. This video is all about Minto's East Hills Crossing Townhomes, first release coming out now. It's a classic no-brainer opportunity, low deposit rental guarantee, pre-construction, low prices, an amazing builder. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But first, if you don't know me, once again, my name's Andrew Lafleur. I'm a realtor here in Toronto with RE/MAX. I've helped over 1,000 condo investors just like you, including over 200 just in the city of Calgary itself. So you're not alone if you're thinking about investing in Calgary. And I personally am investing in Calgary with 3 units, including in the East Hills community as well. So let's jump into it, shall we? Starting with where you probably are right now. You're probably in the Toronto area as you're watching this video. And Toronto's a great place to invest, but there's 2 key problems that we have as investors in the Toronto market right now. First one is cash flow, finding properties that give us positive cash flow. They basically don't exist any longer anywhere in the city, even if you're getting into duplexes and triplexes, it's very difficult to make properties cash flow without making significant investments in them and increasing rent significantly. Certainly single unit properties and certainly condos, there is definitely no cash flow anymore in the city of Toronto, which is unfortunate. The second problem with Toronto, although it's a great place to invest and continue to do so if you have the means to do it, is affordability. You have to spend now $800,000 sort of as an entry point into the city of Toronto. So for most people, just to get started in real estate investing, it's nearly impossible. And certainly even if you already have a portfolio of properties and you want to continue to add to your portfolio, it's becoming harder and harder to do that. So we started looking at other cities in Canada. We believe that investing in cities is the way to go. It's the best place to put your money as a real estate investor. So what are the 4 major cities in Canada other than Toronto? What do we have? Let's remind ourselves. Montreal is number 2 in terms of population. Vancouver, number 3. And did you know Calgary is the 4th biggest city in Canada? So Toronto, we talked about Toronto. Montreal was actually a great place to invest up until a few years ago. There was a major price gap between Toronto and Vancouver, the very expensive cities, and Montreal. But what happened was investors realized this, and a lot of money started pouring into Montreal, especially over the past 2-3 years. And we've seen prices rise dramatically in Montreal, where they're not that far off of where Toronto is now. Vancouver, of course, is Vancouver. It's always been and probably always will be the most expensive city in Canada, and cash flow situation there is even worse than in Toronto. And that leaves us with number 4, Calgary. Calgary is, well, one of these things is not like the other, right? I mean, this is remarkably different. So let's talk about Calgary as a city to invest in, as a major city in Canada. What does that look like? So why Calgary? Well, the major headlines right off the bat, it's 50 to 70% cheaper than Toronto. Just not 20, 30%. It's massively cheaper than Toronto. You can get positive cash flow in Calgary, yes, even on single unit properties, even on condos, you can get positive cash flow in Calgary, which is extremely refreshing. It's ranked as the most livable city in North America and the 5th most livable city in the entire world. So you can have a very high quality of life in a big city, in a great country of Canada, next to the mountains. You've got Banff and everything right there, the Rockies. And it's very cheap, and you can earn a high salary as well. It has a growing population, so the city of Calgary, like a lot of our cities, is growing. That's what we want to see as investors. It has the youngest population in Canada, the most educated population in Canada, and also it has the highest incomes in Canada. So highest incomes in Canada on average, with the lowest prices for any major city in Canada, possibly in the Western world. Those are the headlines that sort of really get our attention as investors and say we should really be looking at this market, and why I have looked at this market carefully and decided to put my own money here, as well as hundreds of my own clients. And then let's talk about the bonuses, the things, the extra things that make investing in the city of Calgary unique and special. So there's no land transfer tax, unlike in Toronto, where we have not one, but of course 2 land transfer taxes. There's no HST in Alberta, only GST, so that keeps prices a little bit lower as well. There's no foreign buyer tax, so if you are a non-resident watching this video, you can still buy in Calgary without any fear of paying these exorbitant foreign buyer taxes. There's no rent control in Alberta. You can raise the rent by whatever you want each year, not subject to the government telling you this is how much you can raise the rent by. And there are essentially no closing costs. This is a huge one, especially for us here in Toronto. Your average closing cost now in Toronto on an entry-level unit, probably around $40,000. Calgary, that number is essentially zero. You're just paying your lawyer, and that's it. Very refreshing to be looking at that as an investor. Now let's do a quick comparison here. Toronto prices versus Calgary prices. Check this chart out. I think you'll find it, like most people, very interesting, maybe shocking, when you see that the gap, the price difference, so going from 2005 to today, looking at the price difference of the average property in Toronto and the average property in Calgary, the price difference now is at an all-time high. You can see there the average price in Toronto is more than double the average price in Calgary here in 2021. And you might say, well, yeah, Andrew, I mean, sure. I mean, Calgary is much cheaper. Toronto is expensive. What's the big deal? Well, 2 things. Again, one is that it's at an all-time high, and that number just continues to rise. And when we see that sort of gap opening up as investors, that spells opportunity whenever we see gaps like that forming in any marketplace. And 2, let's look back. It was not always the case. This is historically not a normal situation. So, all things must sort of revert to the mean at some point, right? Looking at that dotted yellow line, believe it or not, in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, around that time period, it was actually cheaper to buy in Toronto than in Calgary. Calgary prices on average were higher than Toronto prices. And now, again, 10 years later, Toronto is more than double the price of Calgary. So again, this is creating a tremendous opportunity for us as investors. Let's take a look at it from this perspective. So again, we're talking about a townhome project in this video, East Hills Crossing by Minto. The units there, you see on the right, units are around 400,000 or so, give or take, for these townhouse units in Calgary. You're getting positive cash flow with a rental guarantee. You're only putting down 7.5% deposit. They're going to be completed in either 2022 or 2023. So this is all pre-construction. Nothing has started construction-wise. All for $400,000. Compare that to how much does it cost to buy a townhouse in Toronto or anywhere in Ontario? I mean, obviously, the numbers speak for themselves. Take a look. Toronto, central Toronto, $2 million easy for any townhouse anywhere. Of course, go down the list all the way down to even outer communities such as Barrie's and Whitby, Oshawa's, Ancasters. I used to say Calgary is half the price of Toronto. Now it's like Calgary is half the price of Barrie, right? I mean, the opportunity here is unbelievable. How cheap this city is for, again, a major city, the fourth biggest city in Canada. Let's jump into the numbers in a little bit more detail to understand how we got to where we are today in the Calgary market. Looking back historically, where the market has been over the last number of years and where the market is compared to where the market is today, right now in 2021. So first looking at sales. So what does the story say? 2011 to 2014 was the boom time in Calgary. And then we had the oil price collapse. You see sales were rising, and then the oil prices collapsed and sales collapsed. And then you had basically a recessionary period, 2015 to 2020, with sales trending downward in Calgary. And then here we are, 2021, and wow, that deserves a double take. The numbers obviously in 2021 are way higher, basically right on par with the peak year of 2014. So that's what the sales story tells us, which is good to see as an investor, obviously, that the market has been down, but the market is picking up significantly. Let's take a look at prices now. What's the price story? So again, the blue line is showing the price appreciation. The green line, trend line, showing the average prices rising over time. Or falling, as you can see here. So prices go up and down. So you have the boom time of 2005 to 2007. We're going back a bit further. You have the financial crisis where that was mostly prices were going down. And then you had another boom time of 2011 to 2014. And then again, you had the oil price collapse, end of 2014, beginning of 2015. You have the recessionary period for 2015, 2020. And then here we are today. You can see that little blue dot suddenly after prices mostly going down for the last 5-6 years. Suddenly prices now in 2021 are going up again. The trend has been broken, and that's great to see. So what's very interesting is if you look at the average price today in 2020-21, because there was a number of years where prices fell, you're actually buying on average in Calgary today at a similar level to where the prices were in 2014. So it's very much like hopping in a time machine, Marty McFly style, and going back in time and buying at prices not seen, certainly in Toronto, way more than a decade ago, but even in Calgary, it's like you're buying back in 2014, 2015. Now, let's talk about supply. What's the supply story telling us? So the inventory levels in the market, we always want to know what's happening there as investors. Ideally, what do we want to see? We want to see inventory levels, of course, going down, supply going down in a market. And you can see that's exactly what supply is doing in Calgary. It's trending down since 2020 till now after several years, again, of trending up. More inventory. And now we're getting less inventory. We want to see that. That puts upward pressure on prices. And that's exactly what the price graph tells us as well. After a number of years of prices, mostly, you look at the line, mostly below the mean line of 0%, prices mostly falling over the last few years. Now in 2020-21, we're seeing prices rising at a clip that we haven't seen, again, since way back in 2012, 2014 period. Which brings us all to our latest opportunity, as I alluded to, in Calgary, East Hills Crossing by Minto Community. This is the first release of the townhomes here in this community. It follows our no-brainer investment formula. So it's a very low deposit. You have a rental guarantee. It's pre-construction, so it's not going to be built for, in this case, 1 to 2 years. And the prices are extremely affordable. So when you have all these, and the developer is great, when you have all these ingredients together, this is why we say these are no-brainer investment opportunities. And in this case, it's just amazing to begin once again working with a great builder like Minto Communities, one of the biggest and most reputable builders in the country. Now, again, you may be just joining us for the first time and looking at our Calgary opportunities. This is not the first time that we've done this. We've done this a number of times, a number of different opportunities. Here's a few of the previous opportunities by Minto: Era condos, Annex condos, East Hills Crossing condos in the same community, not the townhomes. These are the first townhomes we've ever had. But again, the condos we had as well previously. Everything sells out. They all sell out quick. So if you're interested in this opportunity, don't delay. Take action right away is the main advice I can give you, because these things fly. These are not. It's not like Toronto. We're not selling a 60-story building with 600, 700, 800 units. These are small. Like this release is like 100 units or so. All these releases were small releases. They all sell out very quickly. Let's talk about the Minto Standard. So what really sets these properties, these townhomes, apart from other offerings in the Calgary market? These are built to a very high standard. Minto has an amazing, of course, track record of quality product and quality customer service as well for all of their investors and clients who are buying, and homeowners who are buying into their properties and their communities across North America. So first of all, this is a LEED neighborhood district. There's nothing like this in Calgary. LEED is an energy efficient designation for the entire community, which is fantastic and very forward thinking. The exteriors, everything is brick and cement board. There's no vinyl siding on any of these townhomes. It's going to have a very distinct, high quality look that is very different from most of the other offerings that you'll find in Calgary. All of the units come with driveways and garages, so that's another feature that you won't find in most other condominium townhome communities in Calgary. Over 30% of the community is dedicated to parks and green space. You have massive amounts of green space and parks within the community itself. Again, going back to that LEED designation, that's part of it. They have to have certain area percentages dedicated to this kind of thing. The designs, as you can see, are very attractive, sexy, modern designs. The finishes, of course, Minto. We all know Minto has very high quality finishes inside. And also cool things like you get an EV rough-in already included. Every unit has an electric vehicle rough-in ready to go. So they're very forward-thinking in that sense as well, and just more high-end product. And again, more about Minto Communities, the builder. They have 5 active projects in Calgary, including the East Hills Crossing community. Over 3,500 units in total here. They also have over 1,500 rental units. So Minto is in Calgary for the long term. They believe in this market. They made a big investments in this market over the last 5-6 years. And they're putting their money where their mouth is as well. So they're not just building in Calgary. They actually own a massive rental portfolio of properties in this market as well. So it gives you as an investor that confidence to know that, you know, not only are you buying with a developer, you're also buying with a fellow investor in this market who is also renting and believing in the long-term prospects of this market alongside you. And of course, myself as well, being an investor here too. So let's break down the numbers. Everybody likes to talk about the numbers, of course, with these opportunities. What's the cash flow look like in particular? So if you jump down there to the monthly cash flow number on the right-hand side, you can see roughly between $100-200 a month positive cash flow projected on all of these townhomes, given that there is a 2-year rental guarantee again with all these units. And again, the main takeaway for I hope you get from this little graphic is just the shocking difference between investing in a townhome in Toronto or Toronto area versus investing in a townhome at this example in Calgary with East Hills Crossing. The prices are 60-70% less. The cash flow is, $1,700 a month better than what you might get on a townhome in Toronto. And your closing costs in Calgary are virtually zero versus your closing costs in Toronto. Ask any investor who's closed on a condo lately, and they'll tell you. And certainly the numbers that keep increasing year after year as the city downloads more and more costs onto condo investors. So all that to say, what is this opportunity? Who's it for and who's it not for? So what it is and what it isn't is a classic buy low market opportunity in Calgary. So yes, the market has picked up a lot in 2021, but we're still in a buy low situation where the market has been down for a number of years. It's a low risk, high ROI potential. It's a turnkey investment. You don't have to do anything. It's pre-construction plus the rental guarantee. You got a 3 to 4 year window depending on the unit to just sit back and not do anything, and the investment takes care of itself. It's great for first-time investors as a first step. Again, you can't afford to get into Toronto. This is for you. Also, experienced investors, if you're looking for, again, just something to add to your portfolio, you want exposure to a different market, you want to jump on board the Calgary train as it's about to leave the station. And it's also a great way to sort of offset if you have negative cash flow properties in Toronto. You get some positive cash flow properties. It makes your overall portfolio balance out a bit as well. And what we are telling, of course, everybody is it's not, we don't expect dramatic fireworks to happen overnight, although we do see that the market is improving dramatically in Calgary and picking up dramatically, as we've been saying. We still think you got to come into this thinking this is a 5 to 10 year hold as you're riding out this next wave of the Calgary market. What this is not, who it's not for, this is not a get rich quick opportunity. This is not a quick flip scenario. Buy it today, sell it next year, make a huge amount of cash. You're not buying into a crazy overheated seller's market. It is not that sort of opportunity. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, if this sounds like something for you, then what do you do? What are the next steps? How do you get more information and book your unit? Well, if you're watching this video, there's probably either the information is right on this page or there's a link on this page to get that information. If you're just listening to this for some reason, you can't see the link, you can go to truecondos.com/Minto East Hills Towns, and that will pull up the info there. You can also call or text us anytime. We're here. We're happy to talk to you and answer your questions. 647-371-0110. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you found it useful, give it a thumbs up. Hope you liked this video. Leave a comment. Share it with somebody that you know that could benefit from this. Look forward to helping you with this and other investments soon and in the future. And until next time, happy investing. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.